Mustangs as sophomore quarterback Nate Davis passed for 226 yards and a pair of scores, with Maurice Jeffreys catching 5 balls from Davis for 157 yards and a touchdown of his own. Meanwhile, Mr. Versatile Mike Fischer rushed for 130 yards on the ground and a pair of touchdowns as well, giving the Reds plenty of options on offense.
I thought Nate threw the ball short, which is really the basis of our offense. And I think, again, our offensive line did well. And, you know, the game that Michael Fischer had definitely made our offense well-balanced.
The Big Reds defense also was impressive, holding the Mustangs' all-time leading rusher Bryce Redman to just 58 yards on 19 carries. Not bad since he entered the game with over 2,800 yards rushing all-time. The Big Reds D this week, however, will face a backfield that boasts 4 different runners.
Obviously, you got to sort of gang the line of scrimmage, but the thing about them, they got an outstanding receiver. They got a 6'4" guy that can run and is probably their best athlete. And they spread him out once in a while, and the quarterback can throw the ball to him. So they keep you off guard. They're sort of like a Beaver local, not quite as big, maybe not quite as fast, but they can do all the things that Beaver local can do.
The Big Reds and Fighting Tigers are 2 of the top 9 winning programs all time in the state of Ohio, so there's plenty of tradition between these two schools, something John Magistro hopes plays to his advantage.
We got our work cut out for it, but I think it's a great challenge. We've been in this position in years past, and our kids rose to the occasion, and these kids are well aware of what those teams did, and I think they want to be able to do the same thing.
Speaking of those teams, Bellaire and Ironton met twice during the 1990s, with the Big Reds winning both times, both blowouts, 42-7 in 95 and 33-0 in 96.
1990s and the mid-90s, Ironton came to Nelson Field and they got thumped by the Bellaire Big Reds.
Now they meet again, this time in the playoffs. The Ohio Division IV Region 15 semifinals, the top-seeded 10-1 Tigers against the 9-2 4th-seeded Big Reds.
That they're a well-balanced football team as far as speed. You know, they definitely want to run the football. They're the Ironton that we played in 1995, 96. Same kind of offense, same defense, same coach and everything. And they're just tough, hard-nosed football players, and you got to come ready to play. The thing about them, they're going to establish a running game, and if we tackle well like we did out here last Saturday, then we feel we're going to match up real well with them. You know, we're going to have to throw the ball around to balance out our offensive attack because, you know, they'll gear it up towards the run. So we got to do a little bit both. You know, we got to be able to do both on the offense side of the ball, and defensively, we got to buckle up and tackle people.
Your passing game may have gone away a little bit against Martins Ferry, but certainly reestablished yesterday for sure.
I thought Nate threw the ball real well. He threw the ball short real well. He threw the ball long, and I think he looked, hopefully that was a confidence builder for him because he's thrown the ball well all year. And yesterday I think he found out that he can pretty much throw it wherever he wants. And when he finds the open receiver, he does a good job of getting it in there.
And the Big Reds and Tigers at Zanesville, 7 o'clock Saturday night. And if you want some more history, Bellaire has never lost at Zanesville, so the Big Reds certainly happy with the selection site as we talked about earlier.
Now the other Region 15 semifinal has Martins Ferry taking Ohio Division IV Region 19 semifinal. Great game tonight between Bellaire and Ironton. The game played in Zanesville. My partner Ryan Recker was there and is live at Undo's West in St. Clairsville with the highlights. Ryan.
Hey, Don, thanks very much. One of the great high school football games of this season. Let's get right into the highlights. Bellaire coming in undefeated lifetime at Zanesville High School, 5-0. And the Big Reds tonight would be scoreless with Ironton. Last play, though, of the first quarter. Little razzle-dazzle. And Ironton, the great catch for the touchdown. So the Tigers strike first, 7-0 after 1 quarter of play. Second quarter, though, Bellaire answers. Nate Davis on the rollout. Look at him on the run to Ryan Padget. Touchdown catch, 39 yards. We're all knotted up at 7 at the half. First possession, third quarter, though, for Ironton. They chew up about 6 minutes off the clock, capped off by this 10-yard touchdown run. 14-7 Tigers, but Bellaire coming right back on the next possession. To the ground, Brian Mancini seeing some daylight, pounds his way deep into Ironton territory. That would set up moments later Nate Davis with the 1-yard sneak for the touchdown. Extra point would make it 14-14, and we would go to overtime. Bellaire would be on offense first. Ironton wins the toss, elects to go on defense. It's 4th and 8 from the 18. Bellaire says, we don't want first down, we want touchdown. Davis to Padget, beats his man, has the touchdown. Bellaire up 20-14. They miss the extra point, so Ironton takes over. They need a touchdown and an extra point to win it. But 3rd down, Ironton. They're going to throw it. And Bellaire, Scott Antona comes away with the play of the year for the Big Reds. Caps off the win with that interception. Bellaire wins a thriller, 20-14 in overtime, and they remain unbeaten in Zanesville, now 6-0. So with the win, Bellaire would then take on the winner of
The championship game for the first time since 1997. That year marked the last of 3 straight regional championships for John Magistro's team. To win the Region 15 title this year, however, the Reds will have to get by a Coshocton team that last week ended Martins Ferry's season. The Big Reds are riding an emotional high after their 20-14 overtime win over Ironton. And emotion seems to be what is carrying this team, especially with the number of injuries the Reds have suffered this season. Most teams would have probably crumbled by now, but not the Reds. They seem to use it as a source of inspiration.
I've talked about our seniors all year, and they're the majority of these kids that are injured, and they just won't talk about it. You go around here, and they've been a positive influence on everybody. You're afraid to say you have an injury around here, because how can you even talk about hurting when you get guys with knees like we do? But
in the Redskins' win over Martins Ferry, tailback Dory Song ran for 108 yards and 4 scores. Coach Magistro knows the key for his defense is to try and slow down the Redskins' running attack.
They run the wing tee offense, which is it's a very difficult offense to defend, and because you get so caught up in all the fakes and the motion and things like that. So, and defensively, they're a team that took away the passing game a little bit from Ferry.
And that will be a key for Bellaire. When they've had their most success this season, it's when they've been able to both run and throw the football.
We got to stay balanced. We got to run the football and throw the football, and those are the things we do best, and that's what we were able to do against Ironton, and we got to be able to do them against Coshocton.
One other note, by the way, the Big Reds 6-0 lifetime in the postseason while playing at Zanesville. That's where this Saturday night game is. Now tomorrow it's
well, Donnie, thank you very much. Bellaire going for their 3rd ever regional championship tonight in familiar territory. Let's head to the highlights. 6-0 coming into tonight's game in Zanesville, and yep, the Big Reds brought a big crowd. No score in this one in the second quarter. Key 3rd down here. Nate Davis hooking up with Maurice Jeffreys. Nice sliding catch for the first down. That would set up Brock Redman back on the football field. What a sensational story this is. All year bothered by that torn ACL. In for the touchdown, Redman. 7-0 Bellaire. Still second quarter. Davis back to the air. Mike Fischer on a beautiful ball and double coverage. 19 yards and a touchdown. 14-0 Bellaire at the half. Fischer, though, made his mark on the ground tonight. Third quarter, they give it to him. Fischer on the night, 216 yards rushing, and that would set up Nate Davis. The short 1-yard sneak in for the touchdown. Bellaire up 21-0. They would surrender a touchdown in the fourth quarter, but the Big Reds hang on. We go to the scoreboard. The final 21-7 Bellaire. They will now take on Villa Angela St. Joseph's next Saturday at 7 o'clock at Fawcett. And the stat of the night, Bellaire 7-0 all-time in Zanesville. More on the Big Reds tomorrow on Sports Sunday. For now, that's it for Mundo's. Don, the Bellaire Big Reds will also look to punch their ticket to the state championship game. Bellaire, of course, in Ohio Division 4. Now, their game will be Saturday night against Cleveland St. Joe's. As we check it out on the board, this game will be at Canton Fawcett Stadium. Of course, the winner of this will move on to Massillon for the state title game. 11-2 Bellaire, red hot right now, taking on the Vikings with that 9-4 record. And as I talked to head coach John Magistro earlier tonight, he was just starting to learn about Cleveland St. Joe's.
Well, I'm going to watch film here in a little while, but from what I gathered and talked to people that have seen them play, they more or less run a spread offense. They got a lot of speed. They want to run the ball more than they want to throw it. And defensively, they play a 5-man front. And again, speed is their big factor. We're probably going to have to go somewhere and practice on turf. So that can be a good thing or a bad thing. If it becomes a distraction, then it's a bad thing. If we go there and practice with a business-like approach, like you alluded to before, then it's going to be a good thing. The other thing is, we've got to remind them that we still have 2 more games to go. And we just won a regional championship, but I hope, and I'm almost positive that they're not happy with just that. You know, I'd be lying to say that your emotions got to be sky high, or, you know, you just don't have a heart into this whole thing. But, you know, it's our job to let them realize that the other team's in the same position as they are. And if we play our game the way we're capable of playing it, and we keep out the penalties and the mental mistakes, then I really think good things can happen.
And the Bellaire Big Reds have never played at Canton Fawcett Stadium, so this will be a new experience for them. Coach Magistro looking at a couple venues to practice on turf this week.
So the Bellaire Big Reds on a roll. When we come back, we'll see who's on a roll in West Virginia.
ACL. Now that usually signifies the end of the season for a player, but he bounced back and spent time in and out of the lineup throughout the season, playing virtually on one leg. And one of his highlights came in last week's regional championship when he scored a touchdown against Coshocton, proving that even a torn ligament won't keep him from contributing to the Big Red squad.
Here's a guy that was probably going to be one of the premier running backs around, and still is, even on one leg, and still wants to go out there because he wants to be a part of this. And I think it just rubs off on the other guys. I can name a lot more if we had time here that are doing, you know, pretty much the same thing as him. But he's an inspiration to us all.
And Bellaire will go for a shot to play in the state title Saturday night at Canton, one of our high school football games of the week, as they take on the Vikings of Sports.
Reds taking on the Vikings of Cleveland St. Joseph tonight at Canton's Fawcett Stadium in the Ohio Division IV state semifinals. On the line, a spot next week's state championship game. Now, this is our WTOV night game of the week and can be seen in its entirety following the newscast. First quarter, first drive for St. Joe's. Anthony Ramos, he goes in for the touchdown. The Vikings lead at 7-0 over the Big Reds after 1 quarter of play. Later, quarterback Michael Spellbar, he goes in for the touchdown. St. Joe up 14-0 at that point. Back comes Bellaire down 14-0. Mike Fischer, he scores 14-7. St. Joe's with the lead at the half. Third quarter, Michael Spellbar scores again, quarterback keeper. St. Joe's leads at 21-7. Fourth quarter, Bellaire comes back and they make things interesting. Brock Redman with the handoff. Redman plows in for the touchdown. That made it 21-14. That, though, would be the final. Bellaire eliminated tonight. St. Joe's, they move on. They get the win by the 21-14 final score. You can see the game immediately following this newscast. Elsewhere today, West Virginia.